starting in the late 60s, came to fruition in the 70s at Xerox PARC and other places in Silicon Valley, was popularized in the Macintosh in 1984. It's 2010. It's a long time. And I'm not saying anyone's going to come to your house and take away your computer and your mouse tonight or any other night, but we have a new way of dealing with our digital lives and our digital worlds, and it starts with the most radical thing that happened last year, which was that somebody came out with a new type of computer that many, many, many people doubted anyone would adopt, and I don't know how many they've sold. We won't know until they report in a week or so or whenever it is, but it was a lot, and enough that you see all these companies out here trying to jump in. By the way, for those who don't know, if you're waiting to see a lot of these competing tablets, they're probably all going to hit around the summer, because most of them are running on Android, and there's a version of Android for tablets called Honeycomb, and that's the first one may be out like at the end of the quarter or the first quarter, but a lot of them will be early summer. So that's one really important trend, and it affects education. And I'll tell you why I think it affects education. And it affects education because it affects what students are going to carry around, what students are going to bring to the classroom. I don't have no statistics on how many students are coming to college with iPads instead of laptops, and I'm sure it's still a minority. But I can tell you from my email from parents that I get who read either the Wall Street Journal or the All Things Digital website, I'm getting lots and lots of questions now all the time about should I even bother to buy a laptop or should I buy an iPad? And they say an iPad because that's really the tablet that's out there, but in a year or two it may be a tablet of some kind. I read just in the last day or two, and some of you may have as well, an interesting article about the fact that if I'm a professor staring at a room full of students and they all have laptops and the covers of the laptops are all sticking up, they're not making eye contact with me. If they have a tablet, it's a different experience. And since so many people here have an iPad, I assume you would agree that although it is hard to put into words, there's something fundamentally different about doing your email even, or browsing the web on there than there is either on a smartphone, which is a wonderful device in and of itself, or a laptop, even the coolest, greatest laptop, whatever your favorite laptop is. I don't care what it is. I see a couple of different brands out there, and it doesn't matter. It's a different experience. Now, our friend Steve Jobs calls it magical, and he's a pretty good marketer. I wouldn't call it magical, but I would say that it's immersive and it's different. It's just really different. It's different whether you're, and that some of that extends to the e-readers, the more dedicated e-readers as well, the Kindle and the Nook, and the Nook Color, which is a very interesting hybrid between the two. It's immersive, and it's different than paper, and it's different than a laptop. It's its own thing, and it has a lot of attraction to people. I fly across the country a lot because I'm based on the East Coast, and I cover technology, and I just prop that iPad up on the back of the tray and coach. I do fly coach, and I watch movies and TV shows the whole way across the country, and when I land, I still have half the battery life, and that's a pretty interesting experience. So tablets are a big deal, and they will have an impact in colleges. And I have nothing against the people who publish textbooks. I have nothing against the people who publish books that might not be textbooks but might be commonly assigned in various classes, but they're all going to be digital. I can tell you as a trustee, and remember I said trustees are not education experts, but I'm sitting there trying to vote on cost cutting every meeting we do, and we're actually doing okay as an institution, and wound up our endowment is on its way back up, and we're okay. But I can tell you that families are having trouble keeping their kids in school, particularly at private colleges where it costs 50 grand a year to go to college. And the idea of having to spend a fortune on books, carry them around, resell them after the semester, it's just ridiculously primitive. It's just ridiculously primitive. And this stuff, it's no good if it goes on Kindles and iPads and the No tablet, which I put on stage at our D conference last spring. How many have seen it? The No? You know, it's built for the size and scale of textbooks with all the rich color and annotation and all that. The idea, if those things wind up, the titles on those wind up costing the same as the paper books, then we're not making progress. Just digitizing for the sake of digitizing makes no sense. But we all know that it should cost a whole lot less to move bits than atoms. So what I want to do is see a future where their kids are coming to school with a digital device anyway. Increasingly, it will be a tablet instead of a traditional laptop. And it might as well be something on which they can load all their books. And I really don't care if the money goes to Apple or the money goes to Motorola or the money goes to Amazon or a mixture. I don't care what brand they bring. They ought to be able to have their textbooks with annotations, with notes, do their papers and all that kind of stuff, and pay attention to the teacher. By the way, this conference we run, which is called, we have a website, but we also have a conference. It's called All Things Digital. And at a conference called All Things Digital, we do not have Wi-Fi in the ballroom. We do not have Wi-Fi in the ballroom. I don't mean that people aren't connected, because, of course, they have cellular connections and other kinds of connections, but we don't encourage it, and we don't put tables in front of them either. We want them to, if I'm interviewing Mark Zuckerberg on stage about social network, if I'm interviewing James Cameron about 3D and movies, these are some of the interviews we did last year, I want the audience to engage with them. I want them to be analog for that 45 minutes and not digital. Of course, some proportion of the audience is going to be tweeting constantly and checking their Facebook and uploading photos or blogging or whatever, and I certainly, as a journalist, don't oppose blogging at all. But I'd like most of the audience most of the time to interact on a human level with the speaker. And so does my partner, Kara Swisher, who runs the conferences and the website with me. We're co-editors and co-producers. And so that's what we decided to do. The other big trend that I think is worth talking about, and then I'm going to take questions, is cloud. More and more and more, you're going to be able to use thinner devices, and this kind of ties in nicely with tablets and other thin devices.